Apple has finally refreshed its MacBook Pro lineup, and what an exciting refresh it is. Let's look at why these MacBook Pros are likely going to be loved by many for years to come. The M1 chip that was introduced in the 13-inch MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro earlier in the year are already fan favorites. They were an instant hit because of their power, graphical performance, battery life, and portability. It's unbelievable that the new MacBook Pros are touted to be much better than these. Apple has achieved this with the introduction of two new chipsets, M1 Pro and M1 Max. I'm not a fan of these very non-Apple-esque terminologies. MacBook Pro M1 Pro, MacBook Pro M1 Max. What was Apple thinking? But hey, what's in the name? Odd as they sound, their performance seems to be out of this world. If what Apple says about their performance is true, the new Pro chips will deliver 70% more performance than the M1 chip. When it comes to the CPU performance, they are said to perform twice as fast as the Core i9 MacBooks from last year, and graphical performance is said to be 2.5 to 4 times better than the previous Intel-based models with the fastest GPU. Apple made this possible by creating much larger chipsets. They managed to fit in 57 billion transistors on the M1 Max chip. Look at the size of that chip. Even compared to the Pro chip, which contains twice as many transistors as the M1 chip. The previous generation M1 chip already performed better than the 4-core PC chip. The new M1 Pro and M1 Max even outperform the previous generation M1 chip. Even compared to the most powerful PC laptop in the market, the M1 Max delivers similar performance, but does that at 40% less power. It delivers 7 times more performance even when running on the batteries. Apple claims that this is industry-leading performance per watt. The battery life has gotten much better too. The 14-inch model will deliver 17 hours of video playback time, which is 7 additional hours. Interestingly, this is actually lower than the 13-inch M1's battery life of 18 hours. The 16-inch model will deliver up to 21 hours of video playback time, which is 10 additional hours. This is supposedly the longest battery life ever in a MacBook Pro. The new MacBook Pro also supports fast charge for the very first time on a MacBook Pro. You can charge it up to 50% in just 30 minutes. The design has changed too. Finally, our beloved ports are back. The new MacBook now has an HDMI port, a Thunderbolt 4 port, and an SD card slot on the right. On the other side, there's a headphone jack that supports high impedance headphones, 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports, and there's, that's a MagSafe. The MagSafe is back. MagSafe 3 now supports fast charge. You can also charge with the Thunderbolt ports. You may want to do this if you're plugging in your MacBook to external monitors. Now you can connect up to 2 Pro XDRs on the M1 Pro chip. On the M1 Max, you can connect up to 3 Pro XDRs and 1 4K TV all at the same time. If you're liking the video so far, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing to this channel. True to the leaks, the keyboard has lost the touch bar, which is now replaced by physical keys. The keys sit in double anodized black wells that give the keyboard a very clean look. The display has changed too. There are many significant changes here. Wait, what? Is that a notch? Yep. The new MacBook Pro has a notch. But I'm not very disappointed with this. The bezels have been reduced on the side by 24%. The top bezels have become 60% thinner than the previous models. As a result, There is now a notch that houses the camera modules. This shouldn't be a problem because they have moved the menu bar above, giving that additional screen real estate. I must admit that it looks much better in the dark mode. There are already apps out there that will turn your menu bar to black, hiding that notch. There are now 7.7 million pixels on the 16-inch model, the most ever on a MacBook. The 14-inch model has 5.9 million pixels, more than the previous generation 16-inch MacBook Pro. The ProMotion technology now reaches the MacBook. It's adaptive ProMotion tech, just like the iPhones. When the content is static, the refresh rate dynamically drops. But the moment you start scrolling, it steps up all the way to 120 Hz. You can also lock in the refresh rate when needed, like when you're editing videos. Now the MacBooks have a mini LED screen, so it's going to be a lot more brighter, crisper, and you'll enjoy the vibrant colors and deeper blacks than ever before. The notch now houses a 1080p camera. Finally, it has a much wider aperture of f2.0 and a larger sensor. What this means is that you will look great even in low light. 2 times better if you ask Apple. It also makes use of the neural engines on the chip to make you look better in your next Zoom, FaceTime or Teams video calls. The mics have gotten even better. There's up to 60% less lower noise floor. What this means is that you will get crystal clear recordings. The audio has become much better too. The Macs have always been very good in this criteria. But Apple says that they have made it even better. The 16-inch MacBook Pro has 6-speaker sound system with 2 tweeters and 4 force-cancelling woofers. The MacBook will also support spatial audio. The new 14-inch model starts at $1999 and the 16-inch model starts at $2499. The 14-inch model will easily reach the 4,000 mark if you choose the chipset with 32 GPU cores, 64 gigs of unified memory, and 2 TB SSD. If you choose the 32 GPU version of the 16-inch model and add on 64 gigs of unified memory and 2 TB SSD, then be ready to shell out $4,000 again. In India, they will cost you even more. The base price of the 14-inch model starts around 2 lakh rupees and 2.3 lakhs for the 16-inch MacBook Pro. The fully spec'd out versions of these models will cost you a whopping 6 lakh Indian rupees, plus some 30,000 extra for 3 additional years of Apple Care that also covers accidental damage. For something that costs more than a human organ, I would certainly recommend getting this. If you don't have cash to burn, then I strongly recommend waiting to see the reviews before buying any of these newer MacBook Pros. This will tell you how powerful the base models are and whether they are worth an upgrade from an M1 MacBook or whatever else you may have. If you can afford the higher end models, then you should go for them. You'll probably not have to buy another laptop for years to come. I have ordered mine, a not so fully spec'd out model that cost me a few organs. Can't wait to test it and share my review with you guys. There are many more reviews coming to this channel, including that of my iPhone 13 Pro, Apple Watch Series 7, and M1 iMac. If you like this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button. This will really help me out. See you in the next one.